Thank you for coming to another UntoldStory.com. Before leaving, make sure you go to The Greatest Story Ever Told. It's probably the best 16 minutes you'll ever spend. Could change your life and your eternal life. The Greatest Story Ever Told. Now, no one's telling the story as to what happened to the 12 tribes. James 1:1 in the Greatest Story book, the Bible, talks about the 12 tribes dispersed abroad. The 12 tribes are those that descended from Abraham. In the book of Genesis, chapter 17, we are told that God made a covenant with Abraham, saying that his seed would form a multitude of nations. Now, his seed was to come through a son named Isaac. The term Isaac's sons and Saxons are very similar, and many think that's the connection. But no one seems to think, who are those nations today? What happened to those nations? Briefly, we can tell you, they formed a nation under the King David and King Solomon, his son. And then after Solomon died, his son Rehoboam took the throne. They divided into two nations. The 10 northern tribes were called the nation or house of Israel. The 2 southern tribes were called the house of Judah. And in about 700 A.D., the Assyrians attacked and uprooted the 10 northern tribes and replanted them, so to speak. They moved them to the further parts of the Assyrian border. But what happened after that? That being around 700 A.D. What happened to those people? Is it true that they migrated over the Caucasus mountain range, settled into the regions of Europe, and that's where we get the term Caucasian? Well, it appears from the evidence that it is. There are several places to get that evidence, but one place is an interesting place. It's an ancient document going back to the year 1320. The Scottish Declaration of Independence. In 1320, in order to remain free from the English control, some 25 Scottish nobles and King Robert the Bruce of Scotland drew up a petition which still today can be viewed at the Register House in Edinburgh. It was drawn up by one Bernard de Linton, who was Abbot of Aberbrothick and Chancellor of Scotland. And it has been described by the Scots as, quote, probably our most precious possession, end quote. It's known as the Declaration of Independence for the Scots, and in it is proof that the Scots were part of those tribes. We have printed that portion of the Scottish Declaration, and we read it to you now. We know, most Holy Father and Lord, and from the chronicles and books of the ancients, gather that among other illustrious nations, ours to wit, the nation of the Scots, has been distinguished by many honors, which, passing from the greater Scythia through the Mediterranean Sea and Pillars of Hercules, and sojourning in Spain among the most savage tribes, through a long course of time, could nowhere be subjugated by any people, however barbarous, and coming thence 1,200 years after the outgoing of the people of Israel, they by many victories and infinite toil acquired for themselves the possession of the West, which they now hold. In their kingdom 113 kings of their own royal stock, no stranger intervening, have reigned. End of quote. Notice they said in this declaration about the outgoing of the people of Israel. In other words, they are some of those Israelite people. It's quite a story when you start looking into it, and we tell that story in a DVD called Roots, From Abraham to America. And we'll send it to you free of charge if you order it at Scriptures for America, Post Office Box 766, LaPorte, Colorado, 80535.